Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Angie and this is Cover Spines and Pages. And I have created a TBR game and I can't wait to share it with you. So I have been watching other people's TBRs for about a year now, and I have wanted to create one for quite a long time. And I am working on something a little more in depth than what we're going to do for now. But I think it's going to be a really slow work in progress because it's kind of a time-consuming idea. So I've created something that's kind of simple, but still fun, I think, for me to play. And so today we're going to talk about that. So before we get into the game, I want to talk about my July TBR and how I did on that. I played the Lord of the Reeds TBR game, and you can see that video here. And I had 6 books on my TBR from that. So this is how I did. The first book was a dystopian book, and I chose Senlin Ascends, and I did read that. I got, and these are not necessarily in order because I didn't look back to see what they were. So I also got an Ark on a spinner wheel, and for that I chose Twig's Traveling Tome. This is an advanced reader copy. The author is Griffin Murphy. This comes out, I think, in August or September. So I'll put the date up here. But anyway, I'm almost done with that, and I still have a couple of days, so I'm going to call that one done. I landed on a series tile, and for that I chose The Eye of the Bedlam Bride by Matt Dinneman. This is book 6 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, and I have not finished that one. For nonfiction, I chose a memoir by Lyudmila Pavlichenko, who is the female Russian sniper, and that book was Lady Death. And I'm in the middle of that one, and I'm not 100% sure that I will finish it, but I think I could get pretty close. I then got a gifted book. I chose Cackle by Rachel Harrison, and I did not finish that. And I landed on another series tile, and I chose A Court of Thorns and Roses so that I could participate in the Maasverse read-along. And I did finish that, as well as A Court of Mists and Fury. Aside from that, I had 2 book club books, one being When the Moon Hatched by Sarah Parker, and I did finish that, and Hex, and I can't remember who the author is. The book will be up here, and I did finish that. So other things that I've got going on in August is I've got book club books as usual, and then I'm also participating in ARC August. And I will put the link to the announcement video down below because I'm drawing a total blank as to who the host of this readathon is, and I'm really sorry. But I am hoping that some of these books will fall on the TBR through the TBR game. If not, I'm only doing 6 plays in the game. So there should be plenty of room for me to add other books to my TBR throughout the month. The first one being the Maasverse. And in Maasverse, we will be reading A Court of Wings and Ruin. These books are rereads for me, and I loved this one. This is my favorite one of the series, so I'm looking forward to reading this. And then A Court of Frost and Starlight, we will also be doing in August. And again, looking forward to both of those. For a Fable book club for fantasy and science fiction enthusiasts like myself, we are going to be reading The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. This one's been on my TBR for quite a while, and I'm really excited to read it. I don't participate with this book club every month, but I will be this month. At least I hope so, because I have been wanting to read this for a while. And then the last book club, well, it's not really the last one, because I do have an in-person book club, but we haven't chosen our August book. We will be doing that tonight, and I'm just not waiting to post this video to find out what it will be. But the last book club is the BookTube Coven book club, and we'll be reading The Ballad of Fallen Dragons by Sarah A. Parker, which is the second book in the series behind when the moon hatched. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you the rules of the game. There's a little graphic up here for you to kind of follow along, and I need my little handy dandy cheat sheet until I've done this enough times that it's second nature. So the way that this is going to work is I am going to roll 2 die. There will be, is it 2 die or 2 dice? I'm going to roll 2 dice, and there's a 12-sided die and a 6-sided die. And the 12-sided die will drive prompts for the books that I will choose. Some of these have a spinner wheel that go with them, or an optional spinner wheel that go with them. And some of them one of them is a location spinner wheel. So by location, that means I've chosen an area in my house or in my studio where I keep books, and I have to choose a book from the shelves in that area. So I've got 2 different shelves in here on that spinner wheel. I've got 2 shelves in my living room. I've got something in my bedroom, and then I have another big bookshelf that is mostly nonfiction, philosophy, religion, and a few classics and things like that on there. I really hope I don't land on that too terribly often, because that can end up being not fun sometimes. So for the 12-sided die, here are the prompts that apply to them. So if I roll a 1, I have to choose from a series that I am already in progress for. So I'm not choosing new series. That can come up. I can still start new series. It's just not going to be if I land on a 1 on my die. I do have a spinner wheel for this. If I choose to use it, I don't have to, but if I'm kind of stuck and I don't know what I want to do, or if I'm really not remembering what series I'm in the middle of, I can always spin the wheel and just have it pick for me. Then number 2 is the prompt jar. So I have used this before. This has some prompts in it that I've created. I went through these recently, and I pulled out some of the prompts that were complicated and hard to fulfill and that are redundant to the list. If I land on a 3, this is a book box. So that could be my book of the month, Allurial, Aardvark, Broken Binding, any one of the boxes that I have been a subscriber to in the past, or I'm a subscriber to now. I have to choose a book from those. I have quite a few of those books that I have been just not getting around to. So that is the idea behind this prompt. If I land on a 4, I'm going to read an ARC, which is an advanced reader copy if you're not familiar with it, or an advanced listener copy. And I'm hoping to land on this more than once this month, because I'm going to be participating in ARC August, and you get more points for finishing your ARCs. And quite frankly, my score keeps going down on NetGalley because I have been requesting too many books for my own good. Anybody who is a NetGalley enthusiast probably can relate to that problem. A 5 is Kindle Unlimited. Now this is not just any Kindle Unlimited. I can't just go find something new. It has to be something that I've already downloaded, because right now my Kindle Unlimited is limited. I have maxed it out. A 6 is something that I already own on Kindle that isn't Kindle Unlimited. This is pretty self-explanatory. 7 is the location, which I've already talked about. It's a spinner wheel, and that will just determine where I will be choosing a book from. 8 is finish what I started in the past. So I have quite a few books that I have started and kind of stopped, or not kind of stopped. I stopped reading and left them so that I could go pursue other reading interests. It happens to me quite a bit. I'm a bit of a mood reader, so I will start a book and I will get partway through it and then be like, oh, look, a different book. So the idea is to get back to these books at some point. 9 is a library book, preferably a physical one if I can get to the library, or if I have some on hand to make sure that I am supporting my library as much as possible. It can count for Libby if I don't have the availability to go get a library book. 10 is a reread to encourage me to get back around to the books that I love so much that I tend to not get back around to because I've got so many other things on my TBR that I haven't read yet. 11 is a genre picker, and I do have a spinner wheel for this, and it is exactly what it sounds like. There's genres on a spinner wheel, and I spin it, and then I will pick a book based on that. And then 12, this one I think can change in the future, but it is Chirp. It is an audiobook platform that has a lot of books that are relatively inexpensive, and my Chirp library just keeps getting longer and longer and longer because I buy books that will go with my shelf books so I can immersion read, or just because I find something that I like and it's cheap. And then they've got Freebie Fridays. And as you can tell, this gets away from me pretty fast, and there's a reason this is on the list for now. Now, the six-sided die is not prompts, but it has the ability, the six-sided die will change the dynamic of the game, the trajectory of what I'm doing. It can change specifically just that roll, or it can change the whole game entirely. The rule, so if I roll doubles, so if I have a 6 on my 12-sided die, and I also have a 6 on my 6-sided die, that's double. And what happens if I roll that is I have to add a roll to my game. If I roll a 1 on this, nothing changes. It just is what it is. If I roll a 2, then I have to play a poker game between 2 books of my choosing. So I will pick 2 books, and then I will deal out 5 cards for each book, and the book that has the best poker hand is the book that I will read. Kind of hoping I'll bump into that this month, just so that we can see how that goes. And I think it's probably the most dynamic thing on this, or it's going to be the most interactive thing. So I think it'll be fun if we get to play it. If I roll a 3 on the 6-sided die, I have to re-roll the 12-sided die. So hopefully it wasn't something that I really liked the first time, but I suppose it could go either way as far as whether it's going to be super advantageous or a real bummer. If I land on a 4, that's just like the prompt jar. So I will pull a prompt from my prompt jar. But if I land on a 2 on my 12-sided die and a 4 on my 6-sided die, so I have a 2 and a 4, instead of it being something that I have to do from the prompt jar, I just get to pick whatever in my library that I want to. If I land on a 5, then I get to remove a roll from the game. So I'm starting with 6. If I land on this, then I will have 5. And then if I land on a 6, then I have to use a pull pick or a spinner wheel to choose the book. Hopefully I've remembered all the rules I wanted to share with you. And without further ado, let's get on with the game. Okay, I have a handy set of cards. We'll set up here in case we get to use it. And my handy little dice rolling doohickey and some big old dice. Roll 1. This might be harder to do. So that's a 5, and that is an 8. So an 8 is a book that I need to finish what I've started, and 5 is remove a roll. So the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going from 6 rolls to 5, which is kind of sad because it's the first game, and I really didn't want to do that. But it is what it is. And I think for this one, I know exactly what I need to do with this one. So the first book on the TBR is going to be Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. This is the second book in the Farseer trilogy. I am about 30% of the way through this book, and I got sidetracked, but I really do want to finish it, so Royal Assassin is going on the list. Roll 2. Well, it's just going to roll around. Okay, So on the 12-sided die, we have a 7 and then a 6 on the 6-sided die. Okay, so a 7 is a location. So I have my spinner wheel on here. Okay, so let's see if we can get a look at this without too much glare. So the den is actually, it's where we live most of the time. It's where our big TV is and where it's mostly, it's kind of the community spot in my house. So the reason I have this one on there is because I have a little bookshelf. It's probably not what I'll choose from, but I also have a stack of books that's been piling up next to me over there. And I think I know what I'm going to choose for this. Just a moment. Okay, so I had to think about this for just a little bit because I didn't want to have to run back into my house and find it. But I also had to pick out 2 because it's a pull pick or a spinner wheel. And I am going to do a pull for this. There's a Discord that I'm part of that I think these 2 books are a good choice to put on there. I think it might get a little bit of back and forth. The first one is Black Sun Rising by C.S. Friedman. And the second book is The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams. So I'm going to put those 2 on there, and I'm not going to know what the answer is to that poll until a little bit later. So when I edit this video, I will put the book here so you can see which one wins. Okay, roll number 3. I rolled a 1 and a 6. And a 1 means it's as is, so I don't have any dynamic thing I have to do aside from it. But a 6 is going to be an owned Kindle book. The hard thing about doing an owned Kindle book that without something else to help narrow it down is that I really have a lot of Kindle books. But I also, when possible, there's also a readathon going on in August. I'm maybe loosely participating in, but I'm not real sure about. But either way, I like to support indie authors as much as possible, and I will be reading Wing Weaver by A.P. Beswick. All right, roll 4. Got 11 and 6. So we'll have another poll pick, or let's see, what is 11? 11 is the genre generator. Whew. We'll go ahead and do the genre generator, and then we'll figure out how we're going to do the randomizing. Okay. Stupid light. Ugh. Historical fiction. Okay. I don't know if I might veto this because historical fiction requires me to be in a very specific mood. And I have not been in a very historical fiction mood lately. In fact, in July, one of the books I was supposed to read, and I forgot to mention it, was The Great Alone. It was a book of the month. And I started it and then I put it aside. And not because I didn't like it, I just wasn't in the mood for it. So I think I'm going to veto this and respin. No, I'm not going to make a habit of doing a bunch of vetoes, but I should at least get 1, right? It'll be 2 if this lands on historical fiction again. I don't know what happened to the sound on here. Fantasy. Well, got a lot of that on here already. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is, let's see if I can create a quick spinner wheel, and I'm going to put a few options on here and then we'll just spin. Okay, so I tried to find some fantasy books that are either in my ARC list or that I have on my already planned to read list so that I don't skip them. Okay, so what I've chosen is The Tethered God by Noah Brisk. Noah Brisk is from Bookstagram. I got this ARC from him directly, and that comes out in September, and I need to get to it, so I'm hoping that these all come out relatively soon. So I guess I probably can't lose no matter which one this lands on. The other one is This Night Topples Empires by Ry Herman. This is the same author that wrote This Princess Kills Monsters, and I loved that book. So I got the ARC for it, and I'm kind of excited. Then I got the Draken King, and then The Lies of Locke Lamora, because I'm all out of fantasy books that I'm willing to read from my ARC list. So I'll put The Lies of Locke Lamora on there. So let's give her a spin. Oh, this light. Great. So The Tethered God by Noah Brisk is going to be the fourth book on the list. Okay, so because we got a remove a roll, we only have one more roll left. I'm kind of hoping we end up with a poker game, but I guess we'll just have to see. A 6 and a 4. So a 6 is a Kindle owned again, and then a 4 means I need to pull from the prompt jar. I like the prompt jar, at least most of the time. Can you hear it swish, 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 swish? I'll try to grab just one. Okay. Is this right side up or upside? Oh, helps if I open it all the way. I can't read that. That says Flora on the cover. So a Kindle book with plants on the cover. Okay. Well, this one was much harder than it needed to be, I think. But I think I've made a choice. I'm going to go with The Legend of Eli Monpress by Rachel Aaron. And I will put the picture up here so you can see, but he's kind of crouching on gargoyles and there's plants growing all around the gargoyles. So that counts for this prompt. Okay, so all in all, I have way more books that will be Kindle books than anything else. So I'm glad that I have a few books that are physical copies that I'll be reading for my book club, or I would probably be sad. So here's the rundown. First, we're going to read Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. Then I'm waiting for my friends on Discord to choose between Black Sun Rising and Dragon Bone Chair. For my third roll, I got a Kindle-owned book, and I have decided to go with The Wing Weaver. Then I got Genre Picker, which picked fantasy, and I will be reading The Tethered God by Noah Brisk, which is an ARC. On the last roll, I got another Kindle-owned, and I will be reading The Legend of Eli Monpress. Well, that was fun. I'm not sure how I felt about losing a roll on the first game. Maybe we'll change that up and do something different with that number if I land on it in the future, but we'll see. We'll just see, because 5 isn't bad. If you think about all the other reading I'll have to do outside of this little TBR game, 5 is probably more than enough books to get me through the month. So that's it. That's my TBR for August. I always think when I'm planning my video that I always think of a question that I'm going to throw in the middle of it, and I never remember. But what I would like to ask you is, if you were going to replace the prompt for remove a roll, what would you suggest? I'm kind of stuck because I've had to move around some ideas for dynamics. And I don't want a prompt. I want something that changes the game up a little bit or changes up that particular roll. So if you have any ideas, I'd love to hear about it. And if you don't have any ideas or you're not feeling chatty, if you could just leave maybe the dice emoji in the comments below, that would be great. It would help my channel out a lot. Other than that, I hope that you will do all the things that you do. Like, subscribe, tell your friends about it, and I will catch you next time.